On this episode of the podcast, we're going to talk rookie investing mistakes with Sean. There's some common investing mistakes that we see people make, and it's, not always just the rookies, but it's certainly fitting given Sean's propension for baseball conversation. So we'll have a little fun with that this week here on Retirement Elevated.
Let us help you reach your peak in retirement. It's time for Retirement Elevated with Sean Lee.
Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast. Sean and I here to talk investing, finance, and retirement and rookies. Everybody's a rookie at some point in something in life, so we're going to talk about rookie investing mistakes. And Sean, we're doing this right here in the beginning of June. You just got back from a big, long tournament weekend with the boys. It sounded like they kicked some butt. Any rookies on that team?
We actually have two new kids this year, but they're not rookies by any means.
Just rookies to the team.
Rookies to the team. They were free agents last year.
Okay, nice. And you guys did good with the tournament, so that's awesome to hear.
Yeah, the boys played well. Unfortunately, championship day got rained out, but they showed who they were, and they were the number one seed coming out of it. So
nice. That's
all you can ask for.
That's very cool. Very good. Well, let's talk a little bit about the financial side, some rookie things here. You've been doing this a long time, helping people get, to and through retirement, you and the whole team there at Elevated Retirement Group. And, it's easy for us who don't do this every day to, make mistakes, right? It's just not our bag or whatever the case is. And sometimes most of us have to, humans in general, right? We have to learn things the hard way. So hopefully maybe this will help some folks out a little bit. Let's start with investments with no purpose. So obviously, you guys are big on making sure people understand what they have and why they have it.
Well, yeah, I think that we work too hard for the money that we have.
Mm-hmm.
In a lot of cases, what we'll see happen is that we'll sit down with somebody and we'll talk a little bit about, all right, you've got this account, it's your old 401k, you've got a trust account, you've got a Roth IRA, everybody has their own basket of accounts, and some of them are earmarked for maybe short-term savings, or buying a car or whatever it may be. And in a lot of cases, people understand, hey, I've got this savings account and this is exactly what it's going to do. But then you ask them about their investments. You say, well, what's the purpose of this money? Well, I don't really know. Well, what's the purpose of this money? Well, I'm just saving it, retirement. And far too often we see that there's investment strategies built in with no real end goal in mind or thought or purpose behind it,
mm-hmm.
where in my opinion, what we should be looking at is, all right, I've got this particular set of money, whatever it is, retirement money. I'm going to segment out this money to do one certain thing,
mm-hmm.
right? Whether it's I need to create income and I want this to be dividend producing,
right? Whether it's a designated hitter or a runner or whatever, right? Okay.
First baseman has a job, catcher has a job.
Right.
And this money should be earmarked to do a specific job, whether it's travel, whether it's living expenses, whether it's buying a new car, buying a home, whatever it may be.
Whether it's hitting the cutoff man, whatever, right?
Yeah, exactly. And doing a job. Do your job. I'm
yes.
a Bill Belichick guy. I'm a Patriots fan, and his thing was like, do your job.
Yeah.
And if you do your job and your teammates do their job, we're going to be successful.
Get where we want, yeah. And you need your investments, they need to have a purpose, right? You don't have something just because it's the thing to have or because you were told, hey, a mutual fund, you should have 6 of those, right? Or whatever. You don't just grab 6 mutual funds because you hear that's the thing to do. Why do you have them?
Right. And they could all be doing the same thing.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, and usually are, right? When you guys go through.
It's got a different name.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't mean it's different.
And I got it from a different, company. Yeah, well, it still has the same, probably tech stocks leading the charge in there. So
right.
Okay, that's the first one. So not understanding risk. So again, a rookie mistake is, especially if you're younger, right? Or even if you're older and you're a pre-retiree, but you're getting into investing. My wife and I were having a conversation this weekend, Sean. She was like, she was talking about this coffee company she really likes, and she looked and saw they had gone public. And so I went on and I did some looking, and I was like, yeah, maybe we'll grab some stock, And she's like, I don't understand how to do all that. Even though I do this for a living, she doesn't pay attention. So she's like, I wouldn't even understand the risk, right? And a lot of people are in that boat.
And there's a lot of different levels of risk, and
oh yeah, different types of it too. Yeah,
I was talking to my partner, who we know,
Scott,
mm-hmm. And
by the way, he clowns you whenever I hosted on his show. By the way,
of course he does. He always does.
I forgot to tell you, but we were going to start that conversation. I had to host his show when his host was out of town on vacation, and he's like, well, now you have the better partner, and I was like, oh, shots fired.
100%. I mean, he clowns me all the time, and that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm sure you get him back. But anyway, back to risk.
But I mean, we were talking about risk, and he's like, hey, Sean, I've got this gentleman that I work with. His wife just passed, and he's inheriting her assets, like her accounts are moving to him. An advisor that had an old account or something recommended that he just put his money in this unregistered security. I'm like, what? He's like, fortunately, we were able to stop it, but the guy had no idea, one, that it was unregistered, two, that how much risk came with that. And so it's not just investing in accounts that you don't understand how much market volatility or risk that you've got. How deep the valleys can go if the market corrects. It's understanding too that, hey, there's a lot of shady people out there. There's a lot of unregistered style of investments or whatever it may be. That understanding that level of risk as well, and finding an advisor or an individual to work with that isn't going to lead you down a path that isn't in your best interest, or have an investment account or whatever the strategy is that works best for you based on your comfort level with volatility, and not just in the markets, but in the overall grand scheme of things about assets being registered and so on.
Yeah, and to your point, risk in general is lots of different times. We tend to think of the market risk, obviously, right? But there's so much other risk that gets carried into that as well. There's so many other kinds, right? There's longevity risk, right? Which is usually the big deal on any of the other ones, because it's like, okay, the longer I'm around, the more risks I'm taking with whatever the case is. And I mean, that's just a fact of life, but certainly a financial fact too. Emotional decision making. Okay, rookie mistake, number 3. This one, everybody's going to be guilty of this. And certainly if you're not sure what you're doing, this just gets compounded, right? But it's easy to also kind of get wrapped up in that emotional conversation. Like, I'll just use the example I just gave a minute ago about her enjoying this particular coffee. And, because of the backstory of the company, she's really was all kinds of oh, we should totally this and this and this and this. And I'm like, okay, that's cool, but you're allowing your emotion to dictate something you want to do. You don't know jack about the company itself yet, other than the backstory, which you like. So you'd be making an emotional investment in something that might not be a good financial one, right? And people do that all the time.
Oh, emotions run our lives. I mean, we react to things based on our emotions.
Right. I mean, I'm sure you guys were hot and not happy that you got rained out of the championship game, right? But unfortunately, you can get upset or get worked up about it, but at the end of the day, it is what it is, right? And so you've got to find a way to check those emotions. And when you're thinking about financial decisions, right, this is where you guys really bring a lot of value to the table for folks, especially when we don't do this every day. We can come in all amped up on something and then sit down with you and Scott and the team, and you guys are like, okay, good, I get what you're saying, but here's why this is a bad idea, because you've got that kind of emotional barrier, I suppose, in front of you, because it's different for you than it is for us, because it's our money.
Well, and emotions, in a lot of cases, our job is to walk through emotions and feelings and bring clarity and fact.
You didn't know you were going to be a psychologist, did you?
I know, right? And if we're able to provide clarity, people come to us because they're not confident in their situation, or they lack clarity. Some people come to us when they are confident, and they just want confirmation that what they're doing is right. But if there's no clarity and you're not confident in what's happening in your plan, that's going to create an emotional response. And so,
right, the market's going down, get me out. That's the typical one, right?
Exactly, and that's the holy cow, here's my emotional response because I don't have clarity, I'm not confident what's happening, and I move away from that. Yeah,
my emotional response is get me the hell out of here, right?
Exactly.
And that's understandable, but that's also the easy gut reaction. And I think if you're a little more seasoned or experienced, it's a little easier sometimes to weather that storm, or maybe be able to call up your advisor and say, Sean, I'm freaking out, dude. What do I do, right? And then you guys can talk through that and go, look, I know it's tempting, but the smart move here is probably to do nothing.
Yeah. Is your plan still working?
Yeah.
If it's still working, just follow the plan.
Yeah. Right. Tough. I get it. Write it out, but it's tough, especially, if you're a sports fan, right? We use sports analogies all the time, and your team is, dropping the ball. I mean, I'm a Lions fan, and the Lions in the championship game last year, and they're up at halftime, and it's like getting super exciting, and oh my gosh, they're going to go to the Super Bowl, and lo and behold, there's a second half to play.
Yep.
And there's not much I can do about it. I could get emotional. I can yell at the TV. I could throw my chicken wings at it, but it wasn't going to change anything.
They still went home losers.
They still went home losing, right? Yep.
But you still went to bed and woke up the next day.
And everything was okay. Yeah, exactly. Yep. All right, let's do hot tips. If you're a rookie and are making investment mistakes, boy, that's a tongue twister. Hot tips can certainly do it. Hey, you're out at a tournament like you guys are at, and you hear a hot tip, or your golf buddy tells you something or whatever. And I always say, Sean, hot tips by the time we get them are probably lukewarm at best.
I get this too. I mean, we're the people in the baseball community or at tournaments. They ask what we do, and I'll just keep it very vague. We're
Sure.
Run an investment management firm. It's not the time or place. I'm not like a big elevator speech guy, but
right.
Without fail, it's like, hey, what's the best stock right now?
Yeah. Should I get this? Should I get that? Yeah.
I don't know. It depends on what you want.
Yeah.
And
I'm not a day trader.
Yeah, and they're like, oh wait, what do you mean you don't know? I said, dude, I don't spend time researching stocks. I spend time researching strategies. We hire people to research the stocks. Like that's not
right.
That's not what I do. But they're like, oh, everybody wants that hot tip. They want that that stock that's gonna explode for them.
Yeah, they want Tesla before it blew up. They want Amazon before it blew up. Right?
GameStop before that
the short,
dude, ran it up. There's all that, and I still get random calls. Hey, what should I invest in GameStop right now? I'm like, I don't know. That's up to you, man. I'm not going to give you research or give you advice one way or another on that.
Right.
But it happens a lot. It happens whether you're at the ball field or on the golf course or at a party. Mm-hmm. The thing to remember, I think, is that do hot tips have a place? Maybe.
Right.
It depends on what that money's earmarked for.
Well, and I think, a classic rookie mistake, and we'll just end it with this, Sean, is speculating, right? Or being able to, I guess, maybe have a place to do that, right? I think some retirees or pre-retirees come in, they get a good plan together with you guys, they build a strategy, and they go, okay, but look, I still want to have my kind of dabble fun money, and that's fine. You have a little piece that you can do that with. Talk with your advisor about that, right? But I think rookies sometimes will maybe do more of that than they should because they're trying to hit that home run, right? Because for whatever reason, they feel like, A, they just want to hit the home run, or B, they're behind, on investing, or they're behind on saving for retirement or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. So that's probably the classic rookie mistake right there is just, again, it kind of goes back to risk, taking chances that you don't really need to.
Right.
And not understanding what you got, right? At the end of the day, I think those two big ones really sum up a lot of it. If you can kind of control the emotions, keep them somewhat in check, understand your risk tolerance and what you're, comfortable with, and then understand why you have the things you have, you're going to be, a pretty good ways down the path towards a successful retirement. And that really comes in play with working with somebody who can help you build all that and coach you and strategize. And that's what Sean and the team do at Elevated Retirement Group. So get on the calendar, reach out to them at elevatemyretirement.com. That's elevatemyretirement.com, and get started today with your conversation for your situation. Sean, thanks for hanging out and breaking down the rookie stuff for us.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
I always appreciate time hanging out with me and talking about stuff here on Retirement Elevated with Sean Lee, managing partner at Elevated Retirement Group. Don't forget to subscribe to us on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube. Go check out Scott's podcast as well, and you can compare notes and tease them, We'll have to get Scott to come on this one, and we'll have to get you to go on his. We'll just go back and forth a little bit.
We should.
Either that, or we'll start like a fake beef between the two podcasts. All right? The host, me and Walter, can get into it. You and Scott can get into it. We'll have like some sort of fake tiff.
I love it. The old West Coast, East Coast.
There you
rappers.
go. There you go. Exactly. I'm over on the East Coast, so that kind of works. So we'll have some fun with that. But anyway, subscribe to the podcast, folks. Catch us next time, and we'll see you here on Retirement Elevated with Sean Lee.
Investment advisory services offered through Elevated Capital Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor.